All right, shalom, shalom. First off, give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Karkadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, all the men and the women who follow. So, got another lesson coming back at you. This one, Lord's Word is edifying. As you can see, it's entitled "The History of the World Reserve Currency." All right, this is going to be part one, trade and economics. Okay, just doing a lot of research on the world reserve currency. To be honest, how this came about, I wanted to do a lesson on how the world reserve currency is going to transfer from the dollar, okay, to a CBDC here in the near future, more than likely with the BRICS currency dropping. But in order for me to properly tell that story, I just had to go back to the beginning. All right, so Lord's will is going to be edifying. It should be a 3-part series. Like I said, this one, trade and economics, and then we'll do this is just laying the foundation, so to speak, and then we'll do the East India Trade Company, and then we'll do the modern day. I'm not sure what we're going to call that at this moment, but Lord's word, this is edifying, and that's the most important thing. So here we go. And if I'm looking over here, it's because I'm on multiple screens, so it's just easier for me. And y'all bear with me. Y'all might want to get your pens and papers out, take some notes, take screenshots, whatever it is going to help you. Let's get it. Let's get this information. So we got the history of the world reserve currency, and got a couple hot points that I want to make. Like I said, we're starting at the basic. So what is money? Money is the assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something. All right, it's wealth, basically. According to the scriptures, Genesis 13:2, it says, "And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. Also in land," because remember, this is the chapter where Lot went all the way over here, and Abraham stayed over there, and they didn't mesh. So, they had a lot of riches, as it says, in cattle, in silver, and in gold, and land. That's what true wealth is. That's what true money is. All right. Not these paper dollars that we have right now, which is called a fiat currency, which I guess we'll probably get into that in the third installment. But for now, money is land, cattle, silver, gold, spices, anything that can be traded as a commodity, anything, as it says, it's resources at the end of the day. Resources owned by someone, okay? Also, we got Ecclesiastes 7:12. All right, it says, "For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it." Right, so of course, wisdom is the principal thing, but we need, money to survive, and of course, if you have wisdom with your money, that's all the better. But in order to get by in this, in any time, you had to have some sort of wealth, all right, some kind of resource that was valuable to someone else that you can trade for what you didn't have. All right. I want to reference this phrase right here. It says, "Give me control over a nation's currency, and I care not who makes the laws." All right, and that was Maya Angelou, aka Rothschild, okay, back in the 1800s, who made that statement, because he knew and he understood that money makes the world go around. Commerce, okay, trade, value, all right, resources. That's what makes the money. That's what the world is operating on. The so-called laws of this world really don't mean anything, because if you got money and you get a good lawyer, then you can get off of anything, you know, get off of, you know, any charge, I'll say. So importing and exporting. Okay, let's get up here. So importing, and a lot of this is basic stuff. I know a lot of people probably know this, but for the people who don't, you know, we're just going to tell you for everybody right now. All right, it says importing is the purchase of goods and services from foreign sources and bringing them back to the home country. Right. So importing, all right, you went to Spain and seen something that you like and you brought it back to America. Like an import vehicle would be like a Mercedes Benz, a BMW, all right, a Volkswagen. Those are imports because or their origins are from Germany, but you're driving them here in America. Okay. Now, an export is the sale of products or services in a foreign country, in foreign countries that are made in the home country. So you made it here in America, and then you went and sold it, okay, in Mexico, or you went and sold it in France. All right, it's made in America and it's sold in France. So that's the exports is leaving. Imports are coming in, exports are going out. All right. So a country's export and import activities can affect its GDP, the exchange rate, inflation, and interest rates. Ideally, a country should export more than it imports, right? You want to be sending out more than bringing in. It's like you're spending your paycheck, so to speak. You want more coming in, or it's like it's kind of the opposite, because you want more coming in than going out. But in exports, you want to be sending more out than you have to bring in, right? Because say like you have I'll just you have 10 of these, okay? You have 10 of these and they're worth 10 a piece, right? $10 a piece. And you trade 5 of them, okay? But in that trading the 5 of them, you got 10 of these, okay? So now you still got your 5 of these, now you got your 10 of these, and now you're better off, opposed to having to bring in 5 of these, but you traded all 10 of these, if that makes sense. All right, you wouldn't be as well off. So that's how countries work. That's how the world works. And just doing my research, I was able to come up with this statement here. It says, whomever is able to control the world's imports and export markets is the most powerful. All right. And it's true. All right. If you're able to control the world's shipping lanes, all the world's markets, okay, then you're going to be able to control the world, so to speak. All right. You're going to be the top dog on the planet. And that's evident right now, because if you look at any of these barges with all these commodities on it and all this stuff, all that's traded in dollars, which is why America is today's world reserve currency, because everything, each one of these shipping crates, okay, each one of them is filled with goods and services, right? 90% of them were bought in American dollars. So if I don't know, let's say we're, Egypt, and you want to buy something from China, all right, Egypt would have to purchase American dollars to send to China to buy whatever they need, and it would take this shipping lane, all right, in this barge right here, in this barge right here, it would go from China, up to Egypt to deliver it. All right, but they had to purchase US dollars to do it. All right, and so now that we have a basic understanding of how things work. Okay, let's get a rudimentary understanding, because we're going to go back to the beginning. All right, how did Portugal take over the first world reserve currency? Because, matter of fact, let me just jump ahead. These are all the countries who held the world reserve country or world reserve currency, and in their timelines. We're just going to focus on Portugal for this lesson. Okay, we're going to go back to the beginning, and then in the upcoming lessons we'll get into these guys. But let's get back to Portugal. What did Portugal do that was so innovative, I'll say, that allowed them to become the world's first reserve currency? Okay, which it wasn't really an actual world reserve currency, but going back to the statement that I made, they had control of the world's imports and exports, so they were the most powerful. All right. And going back to this right here, I didn't come up with this. I found this, in my research. So this is what I based it off of. And even though like no one was trading in the 1500s, they weren't trading in the Portuguese, whatever their their denomination was, okay, like we are today. But they had a hold of the trade markets. They had control of the world's import and export markets. How did they do that? All right, and that's what we're getting into right now. Before we get into that, I want to get this scripture. This is Revelation 20:1. It says, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a chain in his hand." Now, this is very important to understand on how Portugal became that first world reserve currency. Okay, because when you go to this breakdown, the bottomless pit, okay, speaking of Europe, all right, and the reason why it's called the bottomless pit is because they don't have a lot of resources, right? A lot of natural resources. The soil isn't as rich, is high in the longitude, latitude. So they don't like I'll say like Africa, India, all these countries that are below the I can't remember what it's called. This is the equator, whatever this line up here is called. Help me out. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But it's very high up there. There's not a lot of resource that they can sell. They do have potatoes and some nuts, some things like that, but there's not a lot. Okay, so that's why it's known as the bottomless pit. But that's also why Portugal was able to control everything. Okay, so previous to Portugal being a maritime, a power on the high seas, I'll say, if you wanted to get something from India, say, or China for that matter, say you get some spices, things of that nature, spices, clothing, because textiles was really big in India. It had to be shipped by land. Okay, so you'll have an empire here, let's say India, and then they sold their textiles for $100 to the next powerful empire right here for $100. So they bought it for $100. They paid, so this country or this kingdom pays this kingdom $100, and then they'll sell it to this kingdom for $200. Well, they're going to sell it to this kingdom for $300, and then they're going to sell it over here in Europe for $400. So what the Portuguese wanted to do, well, let's see if we can find a way to go east and end up over here so that we don't have to, deal with the middleman. All right, so circumnavigating Africa, finding a route to India to the Sakya. By circumventing Africa and finding a route to the Indian Ocean to cut out the middleman. That's the whole point. They wanted to cut out the middleman by circumventing Africa. Okay. So, and long story short, I'm not going to get into all the details. I'll even provide a video if you want further information on this subject. But long story short, they were able to circumvent Africa. They landed in India, and now they're able to bring back all those resources at that $100 price, so to speak. Because, like, remember, we said they sold it for $100. So they take all their little goods, their potatoes, their peanuts, whatever, and they go all the way to India, and they trade their goods for Indian goods. They bring them back to Portugal. So now, remember, if at this time anything from India, anything from the east has a higher value, right? Going into supply and demand. So the supply was very low, so it had a high demand. You know, if something's coming from the east, like I said, it had to go all across all of this land over here. And as people trade it, you know, you got to make your money. So it's going to push up the value of it. And it's not like you had a lot. You see the as far as it's coming from. And maybe you did have a lot. You just were sitting on something very valuable that you were able to sell at a pretty high clip. So remember, these saying, let's say textiles are $400. Well, we just got them for $100. Okay, over here in India, we came back down to Portugal. They're selling the same thing for $400. I just bought it for $100. I could sell it for $300, cut the middleman out, and still triple my money. So now are you guys seeing how they're going to be, how they became, you know, the first reserve currency, how they became the man, so to speak. They had a lock on India at this time. And what they decided to do, they start setting up, matter of fact, they started setting up these little trade posts. Okay. So this is Habakkuk 5, it's like 2 and 5. It says, ye also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. So, you know, we know Esau can't keep at home. You know, the Edomites were predominantly in this area, you know, 1400s, 1500s. But look how they made their way, you know, setting up a post, set 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 up a post, all around Africa and Asia. And it's the same today with the United States setting up their military bases in various places around the world. You know, he has enlarged his desires as hell. You know, he can't be satisfied, and he is as death. Because when you think when they set up these posts that it was all peaceful, no, they were putting people to death. You know, this man truly is the devil. Okay. Also, a lot of things that were being traded, a lot of commodities that were being traded were people. All right. The very first transatlantic slaves came through Portugal. You know, and we're talking like maybe 50 years before Columbus even set sail. You know, the 1450s, much less 1492. There were expeditions after that, of course, but, you know, I'm just, you know, letting you know what's going on. Slakia. So it says, and cannot be satisfied, but gathers unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. So they were very violent. People were being put to death. You would imagine people wouldn't want, you know, these foreigners to come and take over, you know, their land, setting up monuments, setting up forts, setting up safe havens, so that, you know, it's a 1,400-mile trip from Portugal to India, by circumventing Africa. So you had to have safe places that you can, a safe port, that you can stop. You know that you're in safe hands. You don't have to worry about pirates. You don't have to worry about somebody, jacking you. So that's what they did. And by doing this, they were able to become pretty rich, okay, as a nation. All right. And really supply, Europe with a lot of resources that they had no other way of getting. Also, there's a new series. What's it called? It's on Hulu. Samurai. I think it's called Samurai or something like that, where it shows the Portuguese all the way in Japan because they went to Japan in the 1500s, circumnavigating, going to their little posts, and they ended up all the way over here in Japan. Okay, so let me see. Is there anything else I wanted to get? I really just wanted to give the understanding of this. They were able to control the world's imports and exports. All right, so that gave them control of the market. And then, in the next installment, we're going to get into, the East India Trade Company and the various different factions of that, and how they took what Portugal did and really raised the bar. Okay. Yeah, so with that being said, Lord, what this is edifying, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Makar Kadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS, salutes and honors to the elect, all the brothers across the four corners who are enduring in truth and sincerity, all the men and the women who follow. Hey, Shalom.